what are some of the first things that come to your mind to make sure that the signage is perfect?
Signage is going to be something that goes on the bones of an event. So you got to have those bones in place first. So once you have a good idea of what your festival site or event village site is going to look like in terms of which tents you're going to have there, how big they are, signage comes in pretty standard sizes. So you know that you've got so and so many 10 by 10 tents, you've got some 10 by 20s, and you're going to get the right size and kind of signage to go on the outside of those tents, the right amount of coroplast. If you're going to throw in some fun Mondo flags or feather flags, those are always add to the look of an event village. So once you've got that idea, you can work on, jazzing up the look of the event village based on which signage you're going to put out to represent the client.
That's great. And now, if you're a nonprofit and you either maybe have some signs in your inventory, or let's say you're planning for signs for an event, but you want to use them for a longer amount of time, like how can you be smart about the planning as you're thinking about your run or walk event?
There are definitely ways to make your signage as evergreen as possible. You can get a lot of years out of good vinyl or coroplast signage if you plan correctly and smartly. We always discourage putting anything on a sign that might be specific to a certain year or a certain city, especially if that signage is going to move around from city to city. So make things as generic as possible so that they can be swapped out and used in different places or on different years.
Talk to us about some of your best practices when it comes to signage and inventory.
Yeah, I think it dovetails perfectly off what Erin was just saying. You have that signage captain or that lead kind of lead the charge as far as getting that inventory. So whether you want to capture that digitally or old school paper, capture it that way too. Everybody has their preference. Ultimately, at the end of the day, the goal is to take that inventory and get it back into a centralized inventory, especially if you have multiple events. But we like to have that person kind of be stationary, collecting all of the signage in from the site as people are bringing it in, inventory and adding it to that digital form or that paper form as the event is loading out. But know ahead of what you're automatically going to maybe scrap, throw away. It's going to end up being used somewhere else. It's not going to go with that main kit. But know that ahead of time and then label, package back up. Also, just making sure, taking care of anything that might be wet or damaged, note those things so that as it gets packed up and put away, you can replace for next year.
That's a great point. We do so much and lay the best plans and preparations for events. But what happens when weather rolls through, Jake? Can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you do to ensure that our signs stay in good shape, we're safe on event when it comes to all things signage?
Yeah, first you have to have a good understanding of your overall signage package. A big vinyl banner is also a sail. So monitoring weather, having a threshold for how fast the wind could be moving to take it down. Maybe it's 10, 13 miles an hour. It kind of depends on the site, maybe the terrain. But during load in night before the event, if we know there's going to be wind, we roll those big signs and then we drop them first thing in the morning. The other thing, we'll try to maybe delay if we know it's going to rain, putting out anything fabric that might get wet. And we try to put those up last minute. Sometimes it's unavoidable. Things get wet, things might come undone. So we always do a QC first thing in the morning, go around, button everything up, and then post-event when you're doing that inventory, if signage is wet or whatever, we try to dry it off, especially if it's going to be going into a storage unit for 6 months. We don't want that to be a science experiment the next time we use it. So we dry things off, squeegee, whatever it might be. And then if we aren't there to take care of it, we note it for our clients to make sure they might have a volunteer or a committee that might need to go in and deal with that the following week when our staff leave town.